Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Latt. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Perilous Podcast. Joining me as always in the bunker of doom, it's the co-host, it's Angie Carrier.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
Yeah, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling fine.
Ready to talk about conspiracy?
I'm feeling crusty and paranoid. I'm ready.
Yes.
Ready
perfect.
to go. And of course, as always, the fifth man, Kevin MacLeod, playing Cobra de Fer. Get all your royalty-free music at incompetech.com. You, of course, as always, can license it, but why? All right, everybody. We'll listen to a little more of that on the outro. And as always, smooth transition, because I suck.
Cut it.
Well, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always lovely to see you. It's a lovely day here in Los Angeles. And
It is.
We're just relaxing. We're starting to move into summer, which is going to suck balls.
But I love summer here.
I like summer. I don't know. I constantly dream of retiring to the Pacific Northwest just because it's 20 degrees cooler. And everybody always says, oh, it's just rainy and cloudy all the time. It's really depressing and miserable. I'm like, yeah, that depressing and miserable would make me very, very happy. I just want it to be 20 degrees cooler, man.
It has been wonderful with all the rain we've had lately.
Yeah, it's been great. And we're basically back to pre-drought levels.
I know. It's green in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah, it's nice, huh?
First time since I've moved here. I've never seen it like that.
Yeah, and we were up in outside of Solvang in Santa Ynez a few weeks ago, and it felt like I was tripping on acid. Like, it was so green.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Anyway, so thanks for tuning in, everybody, for another episode of the Perilous Podcast, and we are going to touch on, I think, something everybody has an opinion on.
Yeah.
And that is the JFK assassination. Did Oswald act alone? Was there a conspiracy? Why was he killed? All the good stuff that everybody likes to talk about is having to do with the JFK assassination, our opinions, our theories, and what we believe. So I will let Angie go first and talk about her belief of the JFK assassination. Did Oswald act alone? What you think happened? Why? And you're up, lady. Go for it.
All right. So just basic looking at simple facts about like what we know about Lee Harvey Oswald. The attempted assassination on, what was the other guy's name? General Walker.
Mm-hmm.
He did it before. That kind of shows me that he for sure had a motive, because I think some people think he was a complete patsy. He obviously had some issues that he needed to work out. And
Remind people why he tried to kill General Walker.
He was actually, I don't even remember 11/22/63 by Stephen King is my favorite book. So I kind of confused a lot of the real facts in my head with what Stephen wrote about. Yeah. But what he thought he was too far leaning, right? Trying to change too much. It was kind of, he thought he was an extremist.
A bit. The interesting thing about that is we really don't know why.
Yeah.
We really don't know why. And I'll get into that, but go ahead.
Yeah. And so, that attempted assassination to me kind of shows that he had that motive.
And let's keep in mind that you did say attempted.
Attempted.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how injured was General Walker?
Bullet fragments. Yeah. It hit the window pane, I think, or something like that when he's standing in the window. Yeah, he was fine.
Go ahead.
So I think that I definitely think that Lee Harvey Oswald was involved, and I don't think that he was a patsy to that. As far as that he actually did do something in it.
Right.
But I do think that there was probably a second gunman. Maybe not from the grassy knoll, who knows? But I do, because just the way that this was also in my pop culture references is in the JFK movie. They kind of show like the angles where the bullets enter and all of that stuff. But it's true.
Well, I will say this. I love the movie JFK, and I love Oliver Stone as a filmmaker. Oliver Stone takes a lot of liberties when it comes to historical accuracy, and Stephen King to a certain extent, because you're trying to tell a story. But yes, take out JFK, the movie, take out 11/22/63. Through serious investigation, from everything I've read, not having to do with that.
Yeah.
It does seem at the very least there were two shooters.
Yes.
And at first, and I'll let you continue.
No.
Most of the witnesses, or a big bulk of the witnesses that were there on the ground, said it came from the grassy knoll.
Right.
Like, no one thought it came from the book depository. It came from the grassy knoll.
Well, and then, I mean, there are, like, ways that the ricochet could have sounded differently, all that stuff like that. But, yes.
Agree. But so many people
yes.
saying... And if you look at it, a lot of people rushing toward the grassy knoll. They weren't running away.
Right.
They were running to something.
Yeah.
So, I apologize.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just was in Dallas, actually, went to the Sixth Floor Museum in December.
How fucking creepy was that?
Yeah, it was really creepy. Also really sad.
Yeah.
Kind of, especially after the election in November, it just felt like there's a lot more patriotism then, in a good way. Anyway, but there's a ton of different conspiracy theories of who could have done it, like Lyndon, all of that stuff like that. But I think, to me, the most plausible is the CIA, because we don't have any access to the records, although some are supposed to be released this year, I believe. But it's not going to say anything.
Yeah, that's funny. That's one of the things I was double checking was, but we'll get into that. But continue.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know, but my theory is that there was more than one gunman. I definitely think that's true. What or why or who, I don't really know, but...
Are you of the opinion that, so let's say that it was the CIA, are you of the opinion that Oswald was working for the CIA, or that the CIA knew what he was planning and let him do it and plan another operation around him?
I think that would make more sense.
Okay.
The second one, the latter. I can't really see from what I've read about Lee Harvey Oswald that he would be actually working for them. It seemed like he truly was
nuts.
Kind of like a man of his own will in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
But you do think he that something happened. It wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald, a lone gunman with this thing, and that for whatever reason the Secret Service let Kennedy have the canopy down and were not doing their A game. Although from what we know about the Secret Service from the Obama administration,
oh my God,
maybe not
prostitutes.
Well, it's not that again. Everybody got a bust a nut.
Right.
I'm not getting over it. It's not and by the way. High pressure job.
Yeah.
High pressure job. It's not that they're blowing off steam.
Yeah.
Like if you remember, just Google Obama Secret Service, because evidently shit goes crazy in South America.
Yeah, I know.
And these Secret Service guys were like showing up to work hungover and with like herpes because they'd go out and just party their brains out and end up banging these bikini models. Which again, I say, fine.
Right.
But there's a time and place for everything.
Right.
And the time and place for that is not when you're protecting the President of the United States of motherfucking America.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a lot of this stuff in general in life is that we put our lives into other people's hands, like just have to trust them to want to do their job correctly. Because every individual human is like, I can make this one mistake because it doesn't really matter if I make one out of 1,000, but it does matter to one person that it's affecting. Yeah. And so it's kind of easy to believe that somebody could have fucked up, the Secret Service.
Really off topic, there was a show not a long time ago, but there was a show called The Man Show with Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they did, I don't know if they did it a bunch of times, but there was this one sketch, it wasn't even a sketch.
Yeah.
Basically, they dressed up as airline pilots and went drinking in the airport bar.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
And just started drinking and just acting really drunk, and it's really one of the funniest things in the world because people are like really concerned, but no one calls anybody. They're like, well, they obviously know what they're doing.
Right.
They're pilots. And it's very, very funny.
Maybe they're done flying for the day.
Yeah. Or I hope so. Where are you guys flying to? And I think as long as it's not your destination, they were feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, and that's absolutely fair enough. And now I am going to try and convert you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Not only do I think Lee Harvey Oswald was set up, I'm not actually even sure he pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. And I think he was deep cover from go. So this is a theory. I am open to being wrong. And here's a couple of things that, first of all, everybody talks about, he was a crack shot. He really wasn't. He was decent. He wasn't a crack shot. And that was a terrible place to, and where he supposedly shot the president from or whatever.
It is interesting standing where he supposedly stood. They let you kind of look out, here's the angle, and they show you a screen at the Sixth Floor Museum of the angle. I wouldn't be able to make that shot, but it's pretty close, still closer than you think.
But still, it's a weird shot.
Yeah, especially with a moving vehicle.
But here's a couple of things that really stand out in my mind. Is when he was in, I believe he was in the Marines, and he was in training. he was being taught Russian.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And then sometime in the future, I believe after he got out of the Corps, he starts, going on these very vocal crusades in terms of, being pro-Castro one minute, anti-Castro the next. He's in New Orleans, and he's working next door to Guy Bannister. It's the same building. It's like this is accurate, the JFK thing, where Guy Bannister, the ex-FBI guy who's a PI and heavily involved in covert operations, the building he was in had two different addresses for the street. It's right next door to this coffee company that was a front for the CIA. And look, New Orleans is a hotbed of covert activity. It always has been. It's a great place for it. It's, somewhat in the middle of the country. There's a port. There's a lot of reasons. And, David Ferry showing up. And David Ferry, of course, was involved in a lot of, unsanctioned stuff. But here is why I am convinced that Oswald was not only working for maybe not the CIA, but possibly ONI, Office of Naval Investigations, but probably the CIA. So he went to Russia. He said he wanted to denounce his citizenship and become, but never did.
Right.
Okay. The story is that he tried to commit suicide because the Russians wouldn't let him become a Russian citizen or whatever. I don't believe that at all. When Lee Harvey Oswald was doing that, there was this covert program where the CIA would send young men to Russia to defect and gather intelligence. And for the most part, the KGB were scary as fuck, but they were very, very good and could usually detect, they were pretty good about figuring out who really wanted to defect. And I think the KGB were also smart enough to go, why do you want to defect? It sucks here,
It's cold.
I mean, yeah, it's good for us, but if you want to, if you like standing in a bread line, we're your place. So while I think, excuse me, I would be more open to Lee Harvey Oswald being kind of maniac, just sort of this disaffected, anti-American sort of screwball, for lack of a better term, and go to the USSR. He came back to America and was just let back in. There was no holding, there was no interrogation, nothing. But the craziest thing about Lee Harvey Oswald coming back to America is that Lee Harvey Oswald did not come alone. His wife, I mean, when people were defecting from the USSR, it was so hard to get out of there that it was like people getting out of North fucking Korea, where one person goes, and if they don't die trying to get out, then they start the process of trying to get the rest of their family out. Not only was Lee Harvey Oswald allowed back into the States, his wife, at the height of the Cold War, a Russian national, a Russian citizen who barely spoke any English, was allowed to come back with him. So that's, and again, I will be the first to say, I do not know all the ins and outs of how immigration worked during the USSR and America at the time. But to me, something stinks.
Right.
Something stinks. Like either so let's say the USSR was so fucking sick of Lee Harvey Oswald's bullshit. Let's say he did try to commit suicide, that they go, you know what? Yeah, go. Yeah, you can take her. Just if she wants to go ahead.
If that'll get you out of here, take her.
I have zero fucks left to give for either of you. Just go. So let's say they do that. They just went, oof, okay, it's gone. Let's go down to the bar and we got rid of him. The fact that America, he lands, they're like, oh yeah, stamp, welcome back. Oh, hello, miss. Stamp, welcome back. And that's it.
I forget, were they married in Russia?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So to me, I go, okay, that's really weird. And they get back to Dallas, and this is partially, in 11/22/63 and in JFK is partially accurate, but yeah, so they moved to Texas, and what do you know? Powerful Russian expats are now their friends, and they're giving them jobs and helping them out, and it's all very, very strange. And I do believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was groomed to be, and again, I'm open to being wrong, groomed to be a covert operative. And again, remember, his career started way before the assassination. So this has been going on for years and years and years. So he was being used, I believe, to infiltrate pro-communist fronts. And I think, and in these infiltrating these pro-communist fronts, he came into contact with people like Dave Ferry, who were very anti-communist and thought John F. Kennedy was weak. And I think he stumbled onto a plot that, or various plots that wanted to kill JFK. And he may have thought at first it was the mafia, which I totally understand, because both John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy used the mafia to get elected, and then they fucked him over.
Right.
And you don't do that. A, not cool. B, it's the mafia. Right. It's the 60s.
Didn't a bunch of them take credit for assassination too?
I don't know about that. I think a lot of people take a lot of credit for things they didn't do.
Yeah.
But if the mob helps you get elected, I'm not saying make Sam Giancana the Secretary of the Interior.
Right.
Maybe go a little easy.
Yeah.
A little easy on him. And I think, so you get, he's infiltrating these pro-communist groups, and sometimes he's asked to pretend to be pro, sometimes he's asked to be anti, showing up in different places. New Orleans is where it really got crazy. And I think New Orleans, when he started running into people like Dave Ferry, who was nutty as fuck, but incredibly intelligent, and I believe knew Ferry from before. I believe he was in Ferry's Civil Air Patrol unit when he was a kid, so it was easy for him to get back in. And Ferry was very very anti-communist, and hated fucking Kennedy. And I think Lee Harvey Oswald stumbles into this plot, and he reports to his handler. Listen, shit's getting crazy. Do you want me to go deep, or do you want to pull me out? And they're like, go deep. So he keeps investigating this thing. Unbeknownst to him, and I don't know whether it was the CIA working with the mob or whatever. I don't think it was LBJ. I know a lot of people like to say it was LBJ. I think there was a lot of squirrely shit about LBJ. LBJ was more liberal than Kennedy. Yeah. People like to say that John F. Kennedy was the reason the civil rights movement succeeded. He wasn't. And if John F. Kennedy had remained president, they never would have made the progress they made under Lyndon B. Johnson. Johnson, he gets a bad rap. He really does. Now, again, maybe he killed him. Maybe he wanted power. I don't think he did. I think, and you know what? If African American people give way too much credit to JFK. There used to be this sort of stereotype where you'd go to a black person's house in the South or whatever, and it was a picture of Jesus, a picture of Martin Luther King, and a picture of John F. Kennedy. Oh, yeah. And it never should have been that. Yeah. You can have your picture of Jesus. I'm not religious. I'll give you that one. MLK Jr.? Absolutely. Yeah. But the other picture should have been LBJ. Yeah. If it wasn't for LBJ, no. And so I find it hard to believe he would assassinate John F. Kennedy so he could pass civil rights legislation. But I also
it's pretty intense.
I just don't think he think he did. I think it's possible he knew about it and didn't do anything about it because the Texans, Texans consider themselves Americans, but really Texans. Right. And when you're in that power structure group, I think word gets around or whatever. So maybe he didn't do anything because, again, he didn't want to, I think it's highly possible he was terrified, Yeah. But I don't even think he knew. Right. I think it happened. I think there had never been a modern assassination of a president, and they didn't know what they were doing, and so they rushed everything. Yeah. And that's why they swarm in on the plane. It's, keeping the power structure going. But I think Oswald stumbled onto this thing. I think he went to his handler and he said, I've stumbled onto this thing. And they said, okay, go in. You're going in deep. And what Oswald didn't know was that this was a coup. And that, for a coup to succeed, all you need are like 5 people in power. So you have the military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower had warned us about. Remember, JFK, he wanted to get rid of Castro, but they kind of bungled that. He didn't want to go into Vietnam. He was trying to work out peace with Russia. It wasn't going well, but he was trying.
Yeah.
Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex and how we should be wary of them. And he was right, because they were like, whoa. War is good for business. We're going into fucking Nam. And so there were a lot of reasons for these people to hate Kennedy.
Yes.
Because he was bad for business. And also they were all fairly racist for the most part and didn't like the whole thing. And because Kennedy did talk about, social equality and stuff, but he was very middle of the road in terms of what he was going to do.
Yeah.
LBJ by far took far bigger chances in pissing people off.
Yeah. He didn't have much to lose at that point.
No, he really didn't. and the war was going terribly. And so you have this faction of the CIA with this faction of probably people within the Pentagon. The mafia, not a lot of people know this, but the government has always used the mafia when it's convenient. During World War II, they used the mafia for a lot of stuff, for, assassinations and smuggling operations and things like that to help the war effort. So the idea that the CIA would never work with the mafia and the military, whatever. So you have this triangle. You have the military, you have the CIA, and you have the mafia. And they're like, yeah, we got to get rid of this guy, and the CIA and the military might have gone to the mafia and said, listen, you help us get rid of him. The only reason we haven't been able to take care of Castro is because Kennedy keeps fucking everything up. We'll get rid of Castro, open up the gambling again, whatever. Never having any intention of doing it.
Yeah.
So they're plotting to kill Kennedy. And maybe Oswald's handler, he takes this information and goes, oh my God, they're planning to kill Kennedy. And he's being a good soldier. He goes to his supervisors and tells them this. And then somebody up the chain of command goes, oh, fuck. Well, we've found our patsy.
Yeah.
So they're leaking this information to the CIA handler of Oswald, who's telling him, okay, you got to go in there and tell him, you'll be the third shooter or whatever. And not only, and they set him up.
Yeah. Set
him up to take the fall. And, I believe not only was Lee Harvey Oswald an intelligence agent, I don't even think he pulled the trigger.
Really?
I really don't. I think he heard the first shot, which came from the grassy knoll, and he freaked the fuck out. Yeah.
So you think there are 3 shooters?
I do.
Well, so he's a shooter that wasn't a shooter.
Yeah, he was the patsy.
Yeah.
So there were 2 shooters.
2 shooters.
You have the Federal Book Depository, but then there's other buildings that are just more of a clean shot that are perpendicular to the.
That's fair.
So.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Secret Service would even allow open windows. What?
I mean, was that not common practice back then, though? Like, did they not think about that?
Oh, they thought about all this stuff. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No. This was in practice for a long time. Yeah. It was. They definitely dropped the ball. But again, a lot of good hookers and blow in Dallas. You never know what's going to happen. So my feeling is Lee Harvey Oswald was the ultimate patsy and a tragic patsy because he thought he was protecting the President of the United States of America.
That makes it really sad.
Yeah, he thought he was doing. And look, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the leaving America, coming back to America. The fact that he was taught Russian while in the Marines. Why?
Yeah.
It's not like you were going to be stationed in Minsk in the middle of the Cold War. The only reason to train someone in Russian in the military is because you're going to use them in some intelligence capacity. Again, could be wrong.
Right.
Maybe it was like a high school elective. Well, listen.
Do you want to take bowling and Russian?
Yeah, Lee. Yeah, You want bowling or you want Russian? I got carpal tunnel. I'll do the Russian. That sounds fun. Okay. And then we're going to teach you how to make blintzes.
Yeah.
So I think not only is he a patsy, it's a tragic patsy. And I think, and then you hear these really interesting sort of side notes on the people who interrogated him in Dallas, the officers, were almost positive that he had. And remember, at the time, a lot of detectives were ex-military, and the people in Dallas who interviewed him were almost 100% convinced that this guy had some form of counterintelligence training, the way he was able to really answer roundaboutly and take control of the interrogation. It was like really weird. And then, of course, the fact that Jack Ruby shot him, and to believe that Jack Ruby was so upset that Lee Harvey Oswald killed the President of the United States. Jack was mobbed the fuck up. Jack did what he was fucking told.
Yeah.
Jack Ruby was not, crushed that Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy, that he went into the, you know what I mean? That makes no sense
Did Jack
to me.
Ruby die in prison too?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But Jack Ruby also is on camera saying no one will ever know what really happened.
Oh.
Yeah, it's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like
How come they didn't use a middle name for him?
Huh?
They always use the 3 names. Did he not have a middle name?
Because because they don't want him to be remembered as the bad guy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Jack Matilda Ruby.
Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding. That'd be awesome, though.
Yeah.
Jack Lucinda Ruby killed
Karen.
Lee Harvey. Jack Karen Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald this morning. No, because, Lee Harvey Oswald, that's
That one infamous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jack Ruby, he avenged the death of the president.
Yeah. Couldn't the way that Lee takes control of the interview, isn't that also kind of somebody who's a sociopath? They're pretty good at manipulating.
But I know this for a fact that because of, we were talking off air about my buddy who's a cop. Cops, you can tell a sociopathic behavior and someone who's, like, it wasn't just that he was able to take control of the interview at times. It was how he answered questions in a very obfuscating way. Yeah. Like evade and distract, So a sociopath is all about his ego and why he's so important and whatever. And also think about it like this. Lee Harvey Oswald. Let's go with Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Disaffected. Looney Tune.
Yeah.
Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Stunad, as my mom's boyfriend would say. He's just a crazy person.
Yeah.
Right? And he's fixated on killing the president. And he accomplishes that goal. And then he says he didn't do it. I have never known a narcissistic sociopath to go, I don't want anyone to know that I have done this amazing thing that I have been planning for years.
Yeah.
I now want everyone to think I didn't do it.
Yeah.
No. You think about it like this. You, Angie, become obsessed. You are convinced that Donald Trump, this is just a mental practice NSA. Angie does not want to kill anybody. But think about it like this, and try and think about this logically. So you start having visions. Okay. You start following these paper trails, these internet trails, and you become 100% convinced that not only was Donald Trump in league with Russia, but that his goal is not only the ruination of America, but the enslavement of the American people. You get convinced the only way to stop this is to kill him. And the only way the people will know the truth of his evil is if the person who kills him is allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And you decide the only person that can do that is you. Okay. Lee Harvey Oswald, supposedly obsessed with Kennedy, thinks he's dangerous, thinks he's going to ruin the world, thinks he's going to ruin America, thinks it's his destiny to kill this man. And the only way people will ever understand that is if he has a chance to explain why.
Yeah.
You kill Donald Trump. The first question somebody asks you is, why? And you say, I'm just a patsy.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. However, he could have, after he did it, maybe, once that happens, that's a pretty traumatic event. Like, is he like, shit, I don't want to go to prison for this? Or is it, I don't know.
See, I think crazy isn't curable by achieving your goal.
That's fair.
Because also imagine this, and I really am trying to be as logical as possible with this stuff. So again, he's Captain Crazy Pants. He's obsessed with killing Kennedy. He thinks he's doing the world a favor, and again, achieving this goal, and he knows there's a chance he can't get away with it. And also, even if he got away with it, he's telling somebody at some point. You know. Yeah. Because it's such a momentous thing. So he shoots him in the head. He, gets arrested. And again, he's arrested at that movie theater. And I don't even necessarily believe, there was Tippett, the police officer that he supposedly shot.
Yeah.
After, I don't even know that. I don't know if that was him. Maybe, but why? Again, why?
Yeah.
I think he went to the theater to meet his contact or handler and go, shit went bad. Shit went very, very bad. We got to get my wife. We got to get out of the country. Yeah. I need to go. I need to lie low. This is bad. And he was completely set up from go. So, there's the theory of, he shoots him and he runs down to the snack room. And when people are running up to where they think that he's just eating, and so a lot of people will say, he never could have made it down there, and why would he be so calm, and da-da-da-da. He could have made it down there.
Yeah.
And the reason he was down there was because he saw Kennedy get shot. And again, why was he up there in the first place? Maybe he was up there to look for another shooter. And they gave him bad intelligence to set him up. Like, the shooter's going to be on the other side. You got to take him out, or look for anything like that. Like, that's the only thing where it gets weird is, well, why would he be told to, or maybe he was up there with a sniper and he was the spotter and thought he was. So there's a lot of reasons. But the reason he was so calm, if the story is true, we still don't know if the story is true, but if let's say, okay, he ran down there and he's acting really, really calm. Training. Covert intelligence training.
Right.
Everybody runs up, he goes down. And never admitted to shooting Kennedy. Never took credit for this thing he did.
Yeah.
I gotta, and that's weird to me. Yeah,
I mean, I agree, but I also, there's like, I guess it depends. I didn't look enough into the psychology of something like this. There are a lot of people who they have full evidence that they're maybe like a serial killer, and they deny it. They're just like, nope, I didn't do it. Like, but I don't know. Like,
right, so, but a serial killer, I think, is different. You're on,
mental,
you're on trial. You got caught.
Yeah.
You
didn't want to get caught. Although some do want to get caught. I know. It's kind of like,
subconsciously want to be punished.
Yeah.
But again, first of all, let's not discount that it's always wonderful if you can do what you love.
Yeah.
But
follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams, everybody. But yeah, if you're a serial killer, it's because you don't want to go to prison. You didn't kill anybody because you wanted to go to prison, and also you're not killing famous people.
Yeah.
One act. The most powerful man in the world. A nearly impossible task. And he did it. He'd been planning it for years. Yeah. It was all he focused about. He was obsessed with it. And then he doesn't take credit for it. Weird. And then the only other thing, like we touched on before, Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. He was a crazy person.
Okay.
Became obsessed with the president. Unhealthy fixation. Murders him. There was no conspiracy. There was no second or even third shooter. Lee Harvey Oswald was not an intelligence agent. Then why are there still classified documents?
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Just like Roswell.
There's no reason. If Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, why? And it says that these documents will be released in 2017, this year. Unless the CIA finds that there's still sensitive information. So 1964 or 63 to 2017. So 30,
53.
40, 50, how many years?
It's, I think, 53 plus 54 in November, I guess.
So 54 years.
Right? Yeah. Maybe more. 60?
Well, 63 to 2000.
Why are we so great at math?
I know.
This is,
because we work in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
So hang on. Yeah, 54 years.
Okay.
So you were good job. You're gonna get a you're gonna get a cupcake. I don't have cupcakes. I'll give you some chocolate.
Cupcakes.
All right, good. So 54 years on. What could possibly be relevant to today, especially if Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone? And the only reason to keep this classified, because everybody involved with this fucking thing is either dead or unimportant at this point.
Right.
And I guarantee you, I will bet you a large pizza. Well, it's a fair bet. It's an easy bet.
Yeah,
you're not going to be that upset. I mean, we both end up with pizza.
Right.
You know.
If I let you have some, if I win.
Oh, you bitch. So that they will determine that, unfortunately, at this time,
they cannot release.
Because the documents, it's not about any single person. It's about the fact that the government colluded to kill the President of the United States of America and has been lying this whole time. There's no other reason. If Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, why didn't he take credit for it?
Yeah.
Why did Jack Ruby shoot Lee Harvey Oswald and then say on camera, no one will really know whatever happened? And why is this fucking shit classified?
Yeah. Do you think that they would still keep it classified if it shows that they bungled some intelligence beforehand?
Yes.
Okay.
Like if they knew it was happening and they just couldn't stop it?
No, maybe that, or that they kind of had reports and they were like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because that
Absolutely.
could be, and that would still be Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right. But the reason, but again, when you look at, look at 9/11.
Mm-hmm. He had some information.
And they fucked it up and they came out with it and it made them look stupid. And the government would much rather look stupid than evil.
Yeah.
They prove that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think...
All right.
Oh, my God, what a douchebag. So for me, I find it, it's totally, like if the files just were like, yeah, we tried, we fucked up, or we ignored it, or whatever, 50 years on, everybody's going to be like, yeah, you guys suck, but oh well.
We figured anyway.
Yeah.
That's true. So... I mean, what could be shown today that would be relevant?
That the government...
Russia?
Huh?
I said Russia.
Yeah, Russia. Well, possibly.
Yeah.
No, I think the problem would be that, A, Lee Harvey Oswald was an intelligence operative for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. That he got duped by the people he was working for, and that the people he was working for colluded with the military-industrial complex and the mafia to kill John F. Kennedy. Mm-hmm. We have been in a constant state of war since the death of Kennedy.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we were kind of in a constant state of war before that, but things really ramped up and got fucked up. And then they killed Robert Kennedy, which we can get into the whole...
Yeah, I like Bobby Kennedy's. I mean, I don't like it. That's sad. But, that's...
But it's an interesting...
The girl in the polka dot dress.
Yeah, fuck me. That's some creepy fucking shit. And it's very interesting. But we will save that for another day.
Yeah.
So you believe that Harvey probably acted alone. Fair enough. I believe that poor motherfucker...
Patsy is kind of a fun word to say.
Oh, no, Patsy's totally a fun word to say. Absolutely. So what do you think, everybody? Am I right? Is Angie right? Who's right? Who's wrong? Are we both wrong? Was it aliens? I don't know. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been Jonathan Latt. You have been listening to the Perilous Podcast. Go to www.jonathanlatt.com. All the shit you don't care about in one convenient location. Playing us out is Kevin MacLeod with Covert Affair. And, of course, joining me, as always, in the Bunker of Doom has been the wonderful, the intelligent, she's sassy and she's classy. It's Angie Carey. Thanks,
Angie.
Angie.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Or in a week and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever.
Whenever.
I don't know. Get out of my house.
We'll talk, yeah.
All right,
Okay,
I'll talk to you later.